it's Mel from Insatiable Mel. I hope you are having a lovely evening and had a beautiful day today. So today, just in case you haven't heard of me before, I am Mel. I specialise in eating disorders, also help people to stop dieting for good, because from 20 years, over 2 decades of experience in an eating having eaten a disorder myself, I see loads of similarities between eating disorders and dieting. So today's subject is all about one of the rules of the mind. And one of the rules of the mind is it spends its entire life trying to keep us away from danger, and it will do anything to keep us alive and away from danger. And the thing is with the mind as well, it locks onto a belief when it is created, and it sees it truth until you physically change it. So even if you learned something when you're a child, that truth kind of is brought with you until adulthood. For example, as early as memories in your childhood, that could affect you right now. So I was talking yesterday about our minds are drawn towards familiar things and away from unfamiliar, because it's all to do with our natural instincts. Natural instincts is to survive. And if we are going into an environment, back in the day when we had like lions and tigers and bears chasing us, going somewhere where it's not familiar would be pretty darn stupid, because the unfamiliar would end up us getting eaten alive. And that is again linked to this mind where we're always trying to keep ourselves safe. But unfortunately, what the mind doesn't know is what is really happening outside in this like world of ours. Our brains, our minds have not kind of developed since when we were being chased by lions and tigers and bears. So as far as the mind is concerned, we are still being chased by lions and tigers and bears, and it purely relies on the messages that we send to the mind so that it knows how to react. I had a fear of public speaking, but my mind is actually thinking right now is like I am fighting lions. So my body is reacting in a most natural way when you're facing something like public speaking. It is very scary for many people, and typical signs is like a dry mouth, clammy hands, a shaky voice, because our biological system is kind of getting ready to either fight or flight. And this is the reason why most often when we are in panic mode, for example, public speaking, taking exams, chatting a girl up, all these things that are kind of a bit out of our like comfort zone, our brains are feeling like we are being attacked. And in order for us to survive back in the day, is we have to preserve as much energy as possible. So our cognitive thinking, like our thinking part of the brain, all shuts down so that we can push all that energy for us to be ready to fight. That is the reason why we act this way, is because it's really really deep in our makeup to feel like this. So when you're faced with something really challenging, we do have these reactions. And but the good thing is, like I said, the brain doesn't know whether something is real or whether something is not real, because it relies on purely the messages that you tell it. So with me, for example, with my public speaking, Before I would be saying, oh my God, I can't stand it. I hate it. It's like I have all this self-talk to myself. Oh, what if anyone laughs at me? Oh my God, what if I forget what I'm saying? Or what if all these scenarios that come into my head. So when the brain is hearing all these messages being sent in, like these negative messages I'm sending, it's thinking, oh my God, because it doesn't realize, it doesn't know the environment that we live in. All these negative messages is just telling the brain that it's under attack. So instead of me trying to be calm, in actual fact, I'm putting fuel on top of a fire that it's already like in panic mode. So instead of me like being calm, I'm actually like giving myself a mini heart attack. So the way that I deal with it, and one of the mind hacks that I'm about to share with you, so there is all like this happy, it's not all doom and gloom as they say, but it also works the other way around. If you send messages to your mind and say, for example, neutralizing the feeling is so much more, I think, effective than like positive thinking, like kumbaya. I've tried like thinking, yeah, it's so good, trying to do this positive affirmations. But for me, just neutralizing the messages works so much better. And what I mean neutralizing it is actually just accepting that whatever you're feeling is perfectly natural response, because of the fact that we are like hardwired to survive. So feeling nervous at an interview, it's okay. You're hardwired to feel nervous because we don't know what to expect. And that is another thing. When you don't know what to expect, that still goes back to the day when we were, we're in tribes and we're like, going out hunting. You wouldn't go anywhere where it's unfamiliar. Unfamiliar is not what to expect. And when you don't know what to expect, there's a high chance that you're going to probably get eaten by a lion. But the fact is now, to deal with that feeling of uncomfortable, feeling of the unexpected, you say, well, I do accept that this feeling is quite natural. And then think of all the outcomes that could possibly come. So get a piece of paper and write down everything that could possibly happen. And when you actually physically write down, it kind of diminish don't know if that's a word, but kind of makes it smaller. So let me do a summary. So today's subject was about the mind, and it will spend its entire life trying to keep us away from pain and towards pleasure, because we are hardwired to survive, and it will lock onto a belief. Even if we had a belief when we were a child that something wasn't safe, we would grow up as adults feeling those uncertainty. We're all naturally like born with confidence, and we're born lovable, but somewhere along the lines we kind of lose ourselves. We kind of feel, we've lost that confidence, this natural confidence in ourselves, because we're like worried about the consequences. And my remedy to that is just like accept the situation. But what I mean is just accept the fact that it is perfectly natural to have a panic attack and to feel really scary, because we are hardwired to survive, and being unfamiliar of something is what scares us. We don't know what's going to happen. And back in the day when we were getting chased by lions, that would be a valid thing. That was like part of our survival, really, to be wary of things that are unfamiliar. But if you get a piece of paper, you write down all the possible outcomes that would come up from the scary thing that you're about to face, it kind of diminishes it. It kind of neutralizes it, rather than like trying to do positive affirmations, which is great. I'll talk about that another time. But one of the tips I find useful is just writing down every single outcome that could happen if you are faced with something really challenging. So anyway, I hope you guys found that really useful, and thank you for watching, and have a lovely evening. Thank you for listening, and thank you for joining. Bye.